Hello, folks. Welcome to another session with Eddie K Photo and Studio. Today, I want to show you how to add glamour to almost any photo that you have. So, as you can see in front of you, I have an image of a young lady, very pretty. This was a senior session that we did last year. And I want to just get rid of this and bring it back as a fresh image. And this is an image. This young girl's name is Annie, and Annie was very good to work with. So before we work on any image, it's a good idea to have an image that is composed well, lit well, and proper focus. You can see that I have a good depth of field. Everything behind Annie is out of focus, and maybe 3 feet in front of her is out of focus where this gutter is. This is a very nice location I've used several times. Before we work on this image, I want to talk a moment about the layers palette that you see over here. The layers palette and the history palette. If those are not on your screen, those tools are essential to doing retouching or any type of Corel Paint Shop work. Now, how do you get these onto your desktop? Let's close the history and let's close the layers palette. Now they're gone. So how do I get those back? If you want to install those are found under View, and then go down to Palettes, over to History. Click it, and that makes the History palette show up. Now you can move it anywhere that you want to once it comes up on your screen. There's the History palette. And I like to see my Layers palette down here. So View, go down to Palettes, and go down to Layers, and just click it with a left click, and it appears to the side. Never work on your original layer. Your layer is the image itself. So this is a full image. It is a JPEG image. That stands for Joint Picture Exchange Group. Now, I don't know what it means, but that's what it stands for. So this is a JPEG. It is not in RAW. I did not photograph this in RAW. But this is the original image, and this is the image straight out of the camera. So when you see the layers, you're seeing a layer of that image, just like if you had it in front of you on a piece of paper. So we don't want to work on that image. We want to retain the integrity of that image. So if we do want to work on it, just like maybe when you were young, if you wanted to trace something, you would lay another sheet of paper over top of your original, and then you could trace on it. So that's what we're going to do over on the Layers palette. I want you to right click and duplicate. So you've duplicated that image. You have two images now, and you're never going to work on this bottom image. We're going to work on this top one. We want to add some glamour to this photo. Even though it's good, it can be better. What's wrong with this image? It doesn't pop. It's a little too sharp. Now, what I mean by that, we can see a small place on her elbow, a little bit of a natural line, just a few places on the face, but we want to make it exceptional. So there's just a few things that I'm going to do today, and if you'll subscribe to our channel, then you'll see more things as we go along. So first thing that I want to do, I want to work on the brightness and contrast just a little. The way that I do this, and there's many different ways, I use the tools that Corel Paint Shop Pro puts out for you. The folks over at Corel Paint Shop Pro always are updating these things, and they're passing these updates out. So we want to go to Adjust, and I like this tool. We want to go to Brightness and Contrast. I'm going to slide over and down to Levels. Now, after I get to Levels, and you can see I had a preset in there, let's just hit Reset. Reset is the original image. So the things that I want to do, I want to adjust this white point, midpoint, and the dark point. So I'm going to pull the white point down just a little. This will brighten the image just a little bit. Did you see that? If yours didn't do it, then you will need to check this box that says Preview on Image. Now, if your processor is not fast enough, or you're using version 8 or beyond, then it may not update that fast. So, but to be able to see your changes, click the preview on image. So we just did the white point. Let's pull the black point up just a little. Just a little. Maybe a little bit too much. Let's go down just a little. There, I like that image. I'm going to click OK. And we have our first adjustment made. But what I want to always do, folks, we always want to preserve the work we've just done. Right click in the layers palette, duplicate again. Now we've got a third layer. In the end, we can merge all of these layers and save them as a PSP, as a Paint Shop Pro folder, which preserves all of the work that we've done, or we can merge them into an image to print this or put on social media. So at this point, what I want to do is zoom in. I'm on the third layer. This layer is highlighted in blue. Mine is in blue, and that tells me I'm working on this layer. If I click on the layer number 2, I'm working on that layer. Let's go back to the top layer. I'm working on the top layer. So I'm going to zoom, and all these layers are zooming at the same time. As long as you don't move a layer, it stays over top of itself. And I'll show you in just a moment why that is a good thing. So we've zoomed into Annie's face, and I want to go to the Makeover tool. Over to your left, the Makeover tool, and I want you to choose Makeover. And then at the top, another box comes up which has a blemish fixer and a toothbrush, an eye drop to whiten the eyes a little bit, and I want to use toothbrush at this point. On toothbrush, and I have a strength of 100, let's zoom in and let's go to the teeth for just a moment. So watch closely. Let's left click. That got a few teeth. Let's go to the other teeth. And okay, I want to zoom back out. Now let's go to the layers palette, and let's click the eyeball just a moment. Watch the teeth. Did you see that? So we're seeing the teeth whiten just a little. That's all I want. Let's go to the eyes. I want to show you something with the eyes, and I'm going to choose the eye drop. Now let's zoom in on the eyes. We want to be careful not to over click. So let's pick on this section of the eye with one click, and let's click one time here and one time here. And really that didn't give me a lot. I'm going to increase the strength to 100%. One click, and folks, that didn't do what I wanted to. So let me show you another way that we can do the eyes. I'm going to go back over to the history palette and take the things we've just done, take all of those off. So go to the first one, click that eyeball, and all of the changes for the eyes came off. The teeth are still there. You can see in your history palette, we've done the toothbrush, and those are still there. So what's another way to do the eyes? This is a complicated little tool that I use, but let me show you how we do this. So we want to choose only the whites of the eye, and to do this, I'm going to go to the selection tool and click freehand selection. I'm zero feather, zero smoothing, anti-alias. Now let's go into the eye, and I'm using a mouse. Let's click, and that forms a starting point, and we're going to go with the outline of the eye. Click, click, be very careful around the round of the eye. Click, 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 click. I don't know if you can hear that, so that's why I'm making the noise. And then do a double click. Now, with your other hand, hold down the shift key. With the shift key held down, that will retain this area, and I go to the other eye. And I click with a starting point, and then I begin to draw. And little clicks along the way. Little clicks along the way. Don't worry about being too sharp or being too straight. Double click and it saves it. Your other finger is still on the shift key. Get this section of the eye. We're just kind of outlining the white. You can go just a little more into the dark of the eye and give it a little more white. Now, I really don't see any white on this side of the eye, but we know it's there. Let's visualize where we think it is, just a little portion. Now let's take, I've taken my finger off of the shift key. I'm going to go over to my layers palette, hover over this top image and right click. Now it says promote selection to layer. So click. Now you don't see it here, but these little areas have been promoted to their own layer. So each one of these areas is a layer. Now what I want to do is I want to click flood fill with these still selected, pick a white, and I left clicked and right clicked to have both of my my materials palettes in my pen. Both of those are now white, and I just go to that area, click each one, click a white color into each one of those. Now this is on its separate layer. At this point, we're working on this top layer. Let's click selections, none. That unselects what we had. Now I know you're thinking that doesn't look too good, and it doesn't. But we have another trick that Corel has for us is in this layer. Let's go up to this little dialog box where it says 100 and grab this corner and pull it down. And as you pull it down, we're at 60, 50%. Look at the whites of the eye as you pull that down. See how those go away? Now that's almost correct. That's almost beautiful. Let's take it all the way up and show you. That's way too much, folks. So I'm sliding it down on the right, and you can see the eyes begin to pick up that natural white. Let's take the slider on the right on the layers palette all the way to 0. Now let's bring it back up. Look at that. See how easy that is? And I'm about 30%. Let's go. Let's scroll back down. Now look at the eyes. Let's go over to the layers palette. Let's click the visibility toggle. I call it the eyeball. Let's click it and watch the eyes when we click. Look how amazing that is. We've opened her eyes, and that gives it a glamour effect. So what I told you earlier is that we would wait on the layers palette until we got to a point we wanted to merge. Well, at this point, I want to merge the whites of the eye down to the third layer. So I right click, merge, down, one layer. Now at this point, that is in, those eyes are now, and the teeth are now part of the third layer. Let's right click and duplicate one more time. So we're going to finish up on glamorizing this in this step. This fourth layer, I want to right click it and duplicate again. Now I'm going to tell you the reason I did that. When you make a vignette, it vignettes the active image. And when we vignette the active image, we distort that image. So I'm going to show you a trick how to bring that vignetted image into a picture perfect, sharp, knock your socks off image. So we have duplicated the image one more time. Now go to effects, photo effects, and vignette. And you can draw this vignette. Here's the tools for this vignette. You see that I am on freehand selection. And even though one is already there, we can redraw it on freehand selection. And these are the tools that will change how your vignette looks. So I want to go a little darker. Let's go somewhere right in there. The blur, I'm okay with the blur. The feather edge, I've got it pretty much feathered a lot. I like a big feathered edge. Let's go a little bit darker. So let's draw. I'm going to left click and just draw around Annie. I'm going to draw my own little vignette, and this won't be so sharp on the image. And after I get it, I click OK. Now you see it went over the image, but what it also did, you see it blurred Annie. Let me go back to the layer, and I'm going to toggle it off and on. There's the image we had before. There's Annie the second time. Now, folks, here's the trick on a vignette. Here's the reason that we duplicated one more time before we went to the vignette. We have a beautiful vignette, but it distorted Annie. Underneath Annie, get this, and I know you are, underneath Annie is the image, which is very sharp. So let's go to the eraser tool, and let's bring the eraser up to a size that we can work with. That's a pretty good size. The hardness 50, and you'll play with these and you'll get these to where you want these to. I want opacity to be, I'm going to work around 60-70%. So remember, there's a layer underneath. We want to see part of that layer. So on this active layer, let's go right over top of Annie with our eraser tool. And when we left click, we begin to erase. And watch what happens immediately. Left click, I'm clicking. Every time I stop, I'm clicking. Can you see that? So Annie is coming back into the picture. So now we have a sharp Annie. We have vignette around Annie. And I like the way that looks. So let's go over to the layers palette just for a moment. Let's show you what we've done. Click the eyeball, toggle off, and watch the image. Now let's click it back on. Ta-da! I like that. If the vignette, if you think is a little bit too dark, go to your visibility, opacity slider bar and slide it down just a little. I'm going to go back up. I think that looks fantastic. We're going to stop there. We have made 5 layers. We have enhanced the face, the teeth, the eyes, and we put a vignette on this. We'll look at some soft focus and some body shaping in another video. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and we really enjoy having you with us.